Here are the headlines as you stand up for your country, correct? Donald Trump absolutely humiliated Joe Biden in that inaugural address. I don't think that's ever been done before in American history. It was a complete repudiation of the Biden administration. I don't think I would have done it. I'm not saying it was wrong to do. He told the truth, Trump did. Basically, overall. But boy, Biden's sitting there, 6-7 feet away? Ooh, and we'll go over it. Right before the inaugural address, President Biden pardoned his family members, everybody but Jill. That's kind of disturbing. We'll get into that, all right? And then after the address, Trump goes out and goes, I wanted to say more, but Melania and JD wouldn't let me or didn't want me to or whatever. And what Trump wanted to say was about elections and they're not, they're still fraud. And I'm happy that Melania and JD Vance intervened there because that would not have been good. So the talking points memo focuses on the address, 30 minutes. A few weeks ago when I spoke to the president, he told me it'd be 45. I'm glad he cut it down. It was fairly pithy. He didn't waste a lot of words. Wasn't anything new. It was just repudiating the Biden administration and saying what Trump is going to do. All right. The crowd was civil. John Roberts, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, swore him in. Everything went according to plan. But boy, it was a harrowing to listen when I was thinking, what would I do in that circumstance if I were Joe Biden? Biden didn't do anything, and he really couldn't do anything other than walk out, and that would have been horrible. But boy, that was, as I said, I think unique in American history. I think back if there's anything like that. I don't think so. All right, soundbite number 1 was an overall repudiation, as I said, of Joe Biden's administration. Go.
As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad.
Okay, nothing new there. I said in the United States of Trump on News Nation, the special that aired on Friday and Sunday, and I hope you saw that. I said to Leland Vittert, he asked me, who does Trump despise? And I said, I don't really want to get into that. And then Leland said, and I gave him Joe Biden's name. Donald Trump despises him. He feels he's weak. And that's the worst thing you can be to Donald Trump, is weak and a loser. All right, second soundbite, got a little emotion into the speech. There wasn't much emotion. This was it. Go.
Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Okay. Trump believes that. I know that. Now, he did talk a bit of immigration, and here's what was interesting about that. He concentrated 100% in his remarks, and there were a lot of them, a lot of immigration remarks. And I'm going to wait till tomorrow to see what executive orders he signs later on this evening about illegal immigration. But it was obvious he used criminal gangs, criminals. Obvious to me that he's not going to go after the people working in the hotels and in the fields. That's not going to be a priority. And I told you that from the very beginning. He did campaign on, we're getting them all out of here, on and on and on. But you can't. It's impossible because they have to have due process. The criminal thing is a different situation. Now, one strong thing he did say was he's going to use state and federal resources to get the gangs. All right? MS-13, the Venezuelan idiots. And believe me, those people, I would not want to be those people because they're going to come down. And why Biden didn't do that is just beyond belief. Trump will do that. But let's put the immigration specificities off till tomorrow. The third soundbite was speaking to the base, the MAGA base, directly. Go.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Now, he did that for two reasons. Number one, it stokes the base. He hates woke. He hates DEI. But he did it because he knows that the left, they're just beside themselves. All right? When you say something like that directly, and he knows that. He's a provocateur. He wants them to hate him. Let me repeat that. President Trump wants the far left to hate him because he believes that stokes up his base. All right, final soundbite I have for you on the inaugural Panama. Now, I know this I cover because I haven't been involved directly in Panama like I was with the hostages, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. But I did talk to the president about Panama, is what he said today. Go.
We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
All right, a couple of things. So China's not operating the Panama Canal. It's providing security, which it shouldn't be. And I don't think we're going to take back the Panama Canal. Why would we want to do that at this point? But Trump's get any deal he wants, and he'll get it. He'll get it. Whatever deal President Trump wants, he'll get from Panama. They can't stand up. So he's got that in his mind, believe me, and that'll be one of the first things. He'll get, 75% discount on all American shipping, including military, and then they'll have to boot the Chinese out and replace them with American security companies. That's what I think is going to go down. President Trump also says he's going to sign an executive order changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I wouldn't do that. Mexico was here before America. Did you guys know that? Mexico was here. It was a country way before we were a country. So historically, Gulf of Mexico is appropriate. You just give Mexico this. You give them a little shiv. And the United Nations is not going to go along with that. Nobody's going to go along with it. Map makers aren't going to change it. So, I mean, why bother? All right, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. You want to call it Gulf of America? Okay, fine. But most people don't understand that Mexico was there operating before the USA. Now, they had Europeans in there and all of that. We understand, but that I don't understand. Okay, a few other things about the inauguration. Michelle Obama did not accompany Barack Obama. Is anybody surprised? I wouldn't if I were Michelle Obama. I'm in Hawaii at my mansion there. I'm having a great time. It's January. I want to go to D.C. where it's 8 degrees. No, particularly because I understand how Michelle Obama sees her country. It had anything to do with Trump. So, oh, Michelle Obama wasn't there. No. Why did you expect her to be there? Now, Barack Obama has a responsibility as a former president to be there. All right. But here's something. Karen Pence, Mike Pence's wife, didn't show. She hates Trump. And she's a Republican. And she didn't show. And on and on and on and on. But generally speaking, I expect a little bit more, I don't know, fracas, but it didn't happen. One person who did impress me with her demeanor was the senator from Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar. I was impressed. I thought she handled herself very, very well. We're expecting by Friday, in addition to Gulf of Mexico being Gulf of America, Mount Denali in Alaska are going to be changed back to Mount McKinley because Trump likes McKinley because McKinley was a tariff guy. Now, I have been to Mount McKinley. Beautiful. A lot of bears. Can't just walk around there, by the way. By the way, another charitable donation. I'm sorry. Can't just walk around. So some pinheads changed it from McKinley to Denali, and then they change it back. End birthright citizenship. Can't do it. It's in the Constitution, so he can sign it. Not going to happen. Designated criminal cartels as terrorists. Thank you. That was my suggestion way back. Thank you, President Trump. And now we can wax them. We can do them Soleimani on them. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to read Killing the Killers. So once the United States government designated, all right, the jihadists and the terrorists as enemy combatants, the president going to get them. And so this is a terror group now, all of the Mexican drug cartels. So we could send troops in and we'd kill them from space. Good. They deserve to be killed. Every one of them deserved to be killed. They sell poison. And Biden pardoning 2,500 drug dealers? Insane. Biden doesn't know what he's doing. All right. What else? DEI programs out. And a whole bunch of other things about energy. Okay, but we'll go, once they're signed, once we see, we'll go over it. So Biden, before he leaves office, he pardons Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, Benny Thompson, who headed the January 6th committee, Adam Schiff, Zoe Lofgren, Pete Aguilar, Stephanie Murphy, Jamie Raskin, Elaine Luria, all of these January 6th Congress people, Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger, all are pardoned should Trump go after them, which I don't think he would, but they're pardoned. And then how about Sarah Jones Biden, the president's younger sister, Valerie Biden Owens, Owens' husband, John Owens, his brother, Francis Biden, and his brother, James Biden, and his wife, Sarah. Why? Because they all got money from the Hunter thing. Hunter's already pardoned. Now, we need a special counsel look into the Biden family. Can't have Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, do it. Because then it looks like Republicans doing the same thing Democrats did. Okay? No. Judge, very well thought of by both parties. Special counsel, did the Biden family derive money from then Vice President or President Biden? Yes or no? Did Biden himself get money? We need to know. I don't care about pardons. I don't care about any of that. We need to know. Fair? I think so. All right, Washington, D.C., very tense. A lot of people going to get fired. Roll the tape.
We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government.
All right, joining us now from Silver Spring, Maryland, Dr. Tevi Troy, Senior Fellow at the Ronald Reagan Institute, author of the book, The Power and the Money, The Epic Clashes Between Commanders-in-Chief and the Titans of Industry. Okay, that is out on Amazon. You can pick it up, and you should. So, Doctor, first of all, your impressions of the address. Did I make any mistakes or say something that's not in context?
No, of course not, Bill. You were great. But I would say that the weird thing about the speech was it seems like it had more than one speechwriter. The opening part was very optimistic, talking about the new golden age. The middle part was the part you talked about that was quite pugnacious and, as you said, worrisome to Biden and perhaps disturbing to him. And then the third part was more unifying in the typical grace notes you usually see in a presidential address. So I do wonder if there was more than one speechwriter working on the text, and that's what they put together.
There were five speechwriters working on it, and they cut it down big time. But the central thing that separates Donald Trump from, say, Ronald Reagan is that Trump doesn't want to win over anybody. He'll tell you he wants to be unified, but that's BS. He couldn't care less about winning over anybody that hates him. He'd like to win over people that don't know, but not that hates him. So let's get specific about this. I didn't feel sorry for Joe Biden because I think he's been so harmful to the country that it's hard to feel sorry for a guy like that. But I have never seen, in all my research as a historian, inaugural address humiliate a president, outgoing president like that. Have you?
No, I haven't. And look, it's not about feeling sorry. I mean, I am happy to see Biden go. I think he was a very poor president. The question is, did you feel uncomfortable for Joe Biden? And I think anybody watching that would have to say, yeah, you felt a little squirmy
No.
when he
A
was
lot of
going
people
after
are gonna
Biden to his face in that way.
I disagree, Doctor. A lot of people are going to feel joy. They want him. They want him pummeled.
I think both can be true. You could say you are happy about it, but you could imagine that it was uncomfortable for Biden. Is the point I'm making.
I don't even.
And that's the point you were making earlier.
Yeah, I don't even know if Biden was certainly Jill Biden was seething behind him. But both Biden and Kamala Harris sat side by side. I was trying to look at them. You know, it was a wide shot. Biden himself, he kind of, but Kamala did not change expression once.
Yeah, but never smiled. She seemed very unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, but that's normal. But you concur with me that I don't think this ever happened before. There was no what they call grace. Okay, usually there's a little grace that, okay, we don't like them and we think they're a bunch of, whatever, you put the adjective in. But they're there, we're one country, we're going to get them, let them escape with a little dignity. No, not here.
Yeah, I think there was an interesting contrast to 2017 when the American Carnage speech was also kind of rough on President Obama, who was sitting there, perhaps not as rough as this one, but it came after Chuck Schumer's speech that I thought was very nasty towards Trump. This time, as you correctly noted, Amy Klobuchar had a lot of grace notes, and I think she really helped herself in the way she did it. So Trump's comments seemed unprompted, whereas in 2017, they seemed responsive to how nasty Schumer was.
Now, thinking back to Ronald Reagan taking the mantle from Jimmy Carter, Reagan didn't humiliate Carter, if I remember correctly, correct?
No, he didn't in his speech, but he was usually critical via humor. You know, the most famous line of that Reagan campaign was that a recession is when your neighbor loses his job, a depression is when you lose your job, and a recovery is when Jimmy Carter loses his job. So he liked to make fun of Carter and do it in a humorous way, but there wasn't real humor in this speech. It was just kind of right in your face, boom.
Now, look, examining history, both Reagan and Trump take over from very weak, unpopular presidents. Biden's outgoing job approval number, the lowest in history. He did get lower than Richard Nixon. It was kind of a tie last week. Now he's lower. Both are going out as failed presidents, and that's not going to change. Is there a difference between how Reagan saw Carter and Trump sees Biden?
I don't think Reagan hated Carter the way you said that Trump seems to hate Biden. I think Reagan just thought Carter was ineffectual and we needed to get different leadership for the country. So I think there was a difference there. But I also think it's interesting what you're saying, how there's some parallels between Trump and Reagan. Reagan also, the criticism of the media was softened by the fact that he'd been in the media and entertainment world for so long. The American people had their own independent relationship with him, kind of like Trump was in all those movies and TV shows over the years. So that kind of softened the way people saw him. Also, taking over for a very ineffectual Democratic president. Even today, with the fact that the inauguration was indoors, hasn't happened since Reagan's second inaugural. So there's some interesting parallels with Reagan there.
It actually helped Trump today, I think. It made him a sharper focus indoors than if he had been freezing his butt off outdoors. One final thing, though. Reagan did not, as you pointed out, he didn't hate Jimmy Carter. He didn't really have any feelings about him at all. It was kind of a neutral. Trump despises Biden. I know that. Primarily because he believes that Biden ordered the Mar-a-Lago raid, all of this stuff, to humiliate Trump, try to take him out. That was the difference. Last word.
Yeah, look, the big difference is that we have more lawfare in this country than we did back in the 80s. And I think that's a real problem. And I think we need to get past that lawfare. And political differences shouldn't be criminalized. You should look and solve these things at the ballot box.
All right, Doc, we appreciate it very much. Thank you.